Let's crack open a beer and share some thoughts.
Guinness and done used to smell when it first came out.
Yes. You mean when they actually put it in barrels?
Yeah, when it was like original, those original bottles of Guinness and Gun.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, cheers.
Cheers. Oh, thrown off the other time. It's a good start.
Come to my place and throw beer all over it.
It's quite sweet initially. It's maybe still a little bit cold at the moment, I think.
No, it could be, but I suppose if you're going to smell the toffee and stuff, you're going to get a bit of the sweetness on the palate as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not too bad. So that's Theakston's Distiller's Cask range.
But it's in a clear bottle.
It is in a clear bottle, admittedly.
Let's it down a bit. You'd take points off of that, wouldn't you? Just because it's in a clear bottle.
Definitely.
Yeah. So here we are, 2017. Hopinions is back.
Hooray! They all cheered.
Yes, everybody's pleased to have us back. And after the epic shows that finished off our run before Christmas.
Which people have only just finished listening to.
Probably, yeah. We'll try and keep these ones a little bit more tempered, maybe. How was your Christmas, mate?
Well, run up to Christmas, a bit shit, to be honest. I was ill. I just caught everything.
Yeah.
Same as Michelle. So, to be honest, anything pre-New Year isn't worth mentioning on my part.
Okay. So, but you went to Bruges for New Year. So surely it redeemed your beer stripes there.
It did pick up from the 31st of December. Went to Bruges to see out the old year and see in the new year. As ever, I mean, I'm a big fan of Belgian beers, or have been for a number of years. And again, using what people have said on Twitter around Bruges and 80 beers, things like that, picked out a few places I've been to before, but also tried to hunt down a few new ones. Tried a few new beers. Some places have closed, like over here. Some places have opened. But yeah, I mean, the beers were lovely, and Bruges is a very pretty place. You know, it is a lovely place to go as a couple. Easy to get around. You could do most of Bruges and stay for a couple of nights, do it in 3 days, which is what we did. The top beer I tried was a Belgian quad that had been infused with coffee.
That just sounds like an absolute dream.
Yeah, I think I messaged you while I was drinking it, in fact, and it's called Quadracina.
And what was my reply?
I think you were rather keen on trying it.
Yeah.
And
a bottle.
Yeah, a bottle has appeared in my cellar now. And also I bought the quad that it's derived from as well. Okay. So we can try that in the future. But yeah, that was just a superbly smooth beer, with the hints of coffee running through it.
Lovely.
Which they managed to get enough of the coffee running through it so you still got the quad taste.
Yeah.
Which I thought was excellent. But for me, it's as much about just wandering. I can just wander around Bruges. They've opened up some new bars, a palm-led beer museum and bar where you can do some tastings, which overlooks the very beautiful square, and also a Duvel-inspired bar, which is part of where they do like an interactive history. And again, if you get that bar during the summer, it's got an outside bit, lovely views over the square. Wasn't so busy when we were there because it was on the 1st of January. It was fucking freezing.
Can you imagine? Looking from the pictures, you looked cold.
We did look cold. Yeah. I mean, that actually comes across on some of those pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a lovely place. Anyone who hasn't got an interest in European cities and decent Belgian beer and lovely little pubs, place to go. Definitely.
Lovely.
So that was probably that was the highlight. Yeah, but pre-Christmas, that was a bit crap.
Yeah, he was kind of a bit wiped out, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. But basically from the time we recorded the last show.
Yeah. well, that was the start of your decline, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You were on your way down.
Yeah.
Then.
So obviously an hour and 20 minutes recording a show finished me off.
Absolutely. I think for me, just before Christmas was a bit of a weird one because I kind of found myself with a free weekend and I wanted to do something beer related, but I was having real dilemmas in terms of what it was to do. And in the end, I ended up settling on doing. I did a walk-in pub tour of my local town, Wylam. And after searching on Google, found that there were 13 pubs in my town.
Did you manage them all?
I did. Get to them all. I started at about lunchtime. took me about 6 hours to get round them all, and it was about 6 miles walking between them as well. But part of what I wanted to do was just to really experience kind of having choice or not having choice, so to speak, because
for a town the size of Wylam, which isn't a massive town,
it's not. No, it's a population of about 30,000.
Yeah, and if you are, even if you go past Wylam, it effectively feels like it's a high street.
Yeah,
with little bits going off it.
It is.
I was actually surprised when you said 13.
So was I. Initially on my list I had 11. Then there were 2 more that I found on the day, or almost, that I didn't know about. So, but these, I mean, they ranged from, certainly the first place that I started in was one of these Marsden's restaurant type inns.
Oh, so very food led.
Yeah.
Is it their village inns or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So that was on one of the far outskirts of town. So I started there. Started off with like a pint of pedigree because it seemed the obvious choice. And pedigree, like so many good regional brewery beers, when it's served well, it tastes incredible. And that was a lovely start to the day.
Did they have the new pump clip?
No, it was still the old pump clip, which I was
nice
very
one.
pleased about. But considering that probably at least a quarter of the pubs were Green King Tide as well, I didn't really hold a lot of hope for what I was going to be sampling throughout the day. And I made sure, Wylam, like most towns, has got spoons.
Yep.
I made sure that went in early as well, so I wasn't tempted to just stay there and drink all the resin.
Good idea.
And it has to be said that Wylam clearly isn't ready for resin because there was so much of it in the fridge that I could have had a really good day had I stayed in spoons. But no, it was just a good day. I mean, I ended up, like I said, I did 13 places, tried a different beer in every bar. Probably the revelation was a pub called the Woolpack Inn, which used to be the home of Wylam Town Brewery. Didn't even know the town had a brewery.
No.
Which is now apparently Cuckoo brewed at Red Fox in Coggeshall, which is a few miles down the road from Wylam. But they were still serving the Wylam Brewery beer called No Name, which was incredible. It was like a hoppy bitter. It was really, really nice, and it was
Never even heard of them.
It was nice to search it out. Literally, it's 5 minutes from the station as well. So I think it's somewhere we might have to visit.
Yeah, no, it sounds
at some
good.
point in the future. And then coming back into town, I found a place called Sir Charlie Lockram's Drinks Parlour, which is basically a cocktail bar that had just opened by the time I got back into town. And I had a pint of their house lager in there, which was called like Charlie's Lager or Charlie's Brew, something like that. It's probably just like rebranded San Miguel or something, I don't know. But it tasted really good at that point. That was like bar number 10 or something. So, but it was, like I say, for me it was more of an experiment in terms of what if I was really into my beer, but I didn't have the option of getting into London and going to Leeds or buying beer online. If this was all I could do, what would I drink?
So what was the verdict though?
The verdict was I would probably end up in spoons. I'd probably end up spending a lot of my time in spoons, which is unfortunate because
that's the place with the most choice.
That's the place with the most choice. Absolutely. I mean, I do. I've spoken about the White Hart before, which has got like these cask. Gravity casks out the back, which always has a good selection on. That would probably be my go-to.
And it's the closest to you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that would easily be my local. So that was quite an experiment to have done that, and I know that I was really grateful to Matt Chinnery for actually writing it up on his blog for me as well as part of he was doing a blog a day.
Yeah, I think it helped him.
He actually wrote up my adventures. So you can read that on Matt's blog if you want to. But yeah, it was, like I said, it was just an interesting experiment. And one of the things that Matt said was that he thinks that more people should do that if they live in smaller towns that aren't London or one of the big towns, is to actually go out and experience what beers you've got close to where you live.
I did something similar in Rayleigh, which is in Essex as well, but South Essex, sort of next town along from where Michelle lives. And I found 5 or 6 pubs, and the pub with the most choice was once again Spoons.
It's really unfortunate, isn't it, that it always ends up
There was
being
a couple
Spoons.
of very nice looking pubs, and there was one pub at the top of the high street which it may well be their regular, but it was a good day. They had Adam's Ghost Ship on.
Yeah.
So that was me sort of
Winning.
anyway. However long we were in here,
Yeah.
I was going to have Adam's Ghost Ship.
Absolutely winning, yeah.
And there were some pubs which were just really nice pubs, but had a real lack of choice.
Yeah.
And even with the lack of choice, I said one pub had Adam's Ghost Ship, which I absolutely adore, but one pub had Doom and IPA, Green King.
Yeah.
So
It's not really...
they
the
could both
choice
have been
that one-
really
yeah.
well kept and really well served, but I wouldn't have been interested
You're not gonna
anyway.
try them. I've got to say also, considering I think it was about 2 weeks before Christmas that I did it, I actually tried a fair number of Christmas beers as well that were pretty good, and they didn't just taste like they had a load of spices thrown at them. They were just like really good English winter bitters, sort of.
So more like the winter ales, old
yeah,
ale kind of style.
rather than here's our standard bitter. We're just going to drop a load of cinnamon into it. And we'll
Oh
call
God,
it.
you just reminded me of a shit beer I had in Bruges. I went for the Carolus Christmas Carol or something, and it was spices and aniseed.
Oh no!
It was painful.
Not in a beer.
Yeah,
No,
it was painful.
Awful stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
that was dreadful. I can taste it now. Oh.
So that was fun before Christmas, and then obviously I had the 12 beers of Christmas over Christmas, which was an enjoyable run as well. A couple of standouts for me in that this year was making the decision to sub in at the last minute 2 bottles of super fresh Axe Edge that appeared just before Christmas as part of an evening on the Buxton beers.
You barely had time to tell people you were subbing them in before you were drinking them.
Absolutely, yeah. They went straight in the minute they arrived. One of the ones that was a real standout was given to me by Luke McGlynn, who I know listens to the show, so thanks, Luke. Was Crooked Stave Origins, which was a sour that had been aged in Burgundy barrels, and it took me all night to drink it because it was so nice and so tasty. I really took my time over that one. But they were probably the real standouts for me. There were a few disappointments in there as well, and I think next year I need to have more focus on. I was disappointed with myself for not including loads of impy stouts, because by the time I got towards the end of it, I was literally craving an impy stout. So I think next year I might go 3/4 impy stouts and then have a final quarter of kind of wild card nights for sort of IPAs and things that I just really feel like drinking.
Can't believe you're thinking about 2017 12 beers of Christmas.
Well, I actually sorted out my cellar and I've got 9 beers already for next year's 12 beers of Christmas.
Dear oh dear.
So that was all good.
Any 2017 beer highlights so far?
Highlights so far? No, nothing that stood out for me in terms of maybe a couple of the beers from that Buxton box that came up on Ebria that also contained the 2 Axe Edges was the 2 collaborations that they did with Stillwater.
Yeah, I haven't tried those yet.
Both incredible. One of them's a sour IPA and the other one's an impy stout, and they're just so good. The sour IPA is absolutely incredible. It's just not too sour, while at the same time retaining quite a lot of the IPA qualities to it as well.
That's quite a feat.
It is a have you had the Troll Tunger?
No.
From Buxton, which was the gooseberry sour.
I think
IPA.
I've had it, and I think I've got one in the cupboard actually.
It's kind of like that, but not quite as sour.
Right.
So that was really in terms of highlights so far. We're not very far into the year.
Okay, well obviously the Quadricino, which I think is a better way of saying it because I presume it's a play on cappuccino, was definitely, I've already put that down as my beer of the year so far.
Well, that's done well.
But 9th of January, and
Yeah.
I had it on the 1st of January. But obviously we have tried a couple of the big releases recently, and I think we've probably got differing opinions on them. The Big Dipper from Magic Rock, and the you'd have to remind me who made the Focal Banger, because I know who we bought it
The
from.
Alchemist.
Thank you. Now we've both tried those in the last few days. Do you want to go first or shall I?
I'll go first.
Okay. Which one are you going to say first?
Focal Banger. wasn't for me. I found it very savoury on the nose, a little bit savoury up front as well, quite oily and resinous feel to it, and not really enough juiciness for me in terms of an IPA.
Okay, I actually got a lot less of the savoury, oniony overtones, but you and other people have said about as well. I actually thought the balance between the Citra and Mosaic was actually quite good, and I thought there was quite a nice bitterness through it as well. I have to admit, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that was my thing. I'll go into the Big Dipper. Again, I did enjoy it. I've actually said on Untapped it was a bit of a beer of two halves. I'd poured the first half in very carefully because I'd noticed a few other people had commented on it, and it dropped nice and bright. Yeah, maybe a little bit low in carbonation, but maybe because I'm a lover of flat, boring cask ale, that didn't bother me.
I love it. Throwing my own words at me.
I thought the flavour was really nice, and I thought the bitterness was quite long lasting as well. The second half, when I did pour in the rest of the can, it did become a bit hazy, and there was a bit of sediment in it. And I know it said it on the side of the can, but I suppose this is the downside of having maybe sediment in cans, and a few people have said it about giving the real ale in a can to more, is that in a bottle you can see the sediment to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Even in a dark bottle you can sort of see it, and when you're pouring it you can start to see it in the neck. In a can it's quite hard to judge, even if you do it carefully.
Yeah.
Because by the time you spot it, summer's probably come out. So that's probably the only downside. That's probably the only downside of having maybe a bit of a live product in a can. But overall, I actually enjoyed both of those big releases. Well,
I was disappointed with the Big Dipper, I have to admit. I also poured as carefully as I could. I still ended up with a very lumpy beer. There was hardly any carbonation in it, and I was just like, it's just like drinking a flat, murky, lumpy thing. Flavour wise, it tasted all right, but considering it was supposed to be somewhat of a rebrew of the Threes Company, it was nowhere near the quality that Threes Company was.
Oh no, I'd agree with that. I mean, Threes Company hit the mark on all the points.
Yeah,
carbonation, flavour, looks, the whole lot.
Yeah,
it was top of the pile for that. So yeah, I'd agree with that. If it was a derivative of Threes Company, then no. Like I said, I enjoyed it probably more than a few people on that one. So
it seems to have really divided opinions. I must admit, and it's interesting that what people are saying about it as well, and also how the brewery are receiving that as well. The brewery don't seem to be, if I'm honest, receiving the criticism very well on this occasion, and I just don't know if. I certainly am. I've made no secret of it. I'm fed up already with Murk Bombs and with lumps in my beer. I don't know whether the market as a whole is going that way already.
Well, I suppose we'll touch on that later. But
yeah,
I mean, I guess with someone like Magic Rock, I had no experience really about this, but for Magic Rock, for people who know and love Magic Rock, we have quite high expectations because of the quality of their beer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whatever the dispense method is, we have a very high expectation, and I think when they don't quite meet it, we are probably very down as well. And maybe also Magic Rock, again, they could correct me on this, but maybe they're not really used to getting criticism.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right, actually.
So, if you don't get criticised very often, it's hard to know how to deal with it.
Yeah. And I know from chatting with Rich in the past, he does take the criticism very personally as well. Like I say, I'm sure we'll come on to it when we do our Hopinions chat this week, which is about looking forward into 2017 and what we expect from beers. So just to finish off this little bit in terms of just looking back, I just want to say thanks to a few people as well, because we picked up a few Golden Pints awards and a few nominations, a few mentions as well. So thanks to Rob Derbyshire, Miles Lambert, Mark Johnson and Boss Hog, who all gave us an award for one thing or another in their Golden Pints. Thanks also to Joe Hill at Multiplex Rant and to Wayne and Janice, the Irish Beer Snobs, for giving us a mention on their Golden Pints. And thanks also to the chaps at Beernomicon who said some very nice words about the podcast at the end of their last podcast as well. So we really do appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much. So there's no news this week because
there's only been one bit of news.
There's only one thing has dominated the news, and didn't want to give over the whole show to it because we thought by the time this show comes out everybody would have already had their say. So we're just going to have our comment on Caskgate, which is the hashtag that appeared on Twitter last week, and this was obviously on the back of the announcement from Cloudwater that they're stopping Cask production in 2017, to which it's probably fair to say Twitter lost its shit over.
Most definitely. And anyone who writes a blog generally wrote a long blog about it as well.
Absolutely. And I am most grateful to Pete McKerry for writing a blog which was a summary
of all the other blogs,
because it's given us a point of reference to be able to read all of the other blogs and have our say about it. So before we get into, because I've made notes on a few things that a few people said from some of those blogs. Before we get into our views on what other people have said about it, what's your view on the Cloudwater announcement?
It took me a little while to catch up on the news because I think they came out on the first when I was in Belgium. So I was almost backtracking. I was reading a lot of other people's comments and I wasn't sure what the story behind it was. I have since read the full blog piece from Cloudwater, which is very extensive and isn't just, to be fair, about their Cask decision, but that's the one which has definitely grabbed the headlines. Again, I live and work in the south of England. For me personally, Cloudwater not doing Cask doesn't really touch the sides because it was few and far between, but I could never get hold of it. I think that's probably the first thing to say, so I'll probably coming at it from a slightly different angle to some other people. I think it, the demise of Cask might be greatly exaggerated at this stage. What I would say is that I think the gap will be filled. There's enough brewers who brew Cask, there's enough small brewers, there's enough regional brewers, etc. That gap on the taps will be filled.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I suppose and a few people have said it, there is a concern that the young upstarts of the craft wave are turning their back on Cask for varying reasons. I don't think there's been any one clear definitive reason. There's been a combination of reasons, and that is probably something that is more worthy of most of the discussion. But then I also, the flip side is that I don't look at the breweries who don't do Cask, so Brewdog, Buxton, Cloudwater, to name three of them. I never associate them with Cask before, during or after that decision anyway. For me personally, it was about their craft keg, their bottles, their cans, is what I know them for and what I look out for. And even if I saw some of their beer on Cask, if it was Buxton and I saw Axe Edge on Cask, like they did up in Manchester last year, I'd say, right, I've got to see what it's like on Cask just to see what the comparison is.
It's amazing, by the way.
Thanks.
Thought I'd point that out.
And
anyone listening as well.
I'm just going to mention Justin's beer from last year again. Again.
Then I'll ban that for 2017.
And I'd probably try it for that very reason alone. But if they had Axe Edge on keg, and then a Cask beer I was unfamiliar with, I'd probably still dive in on the Axe Edge on keg.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's about. I mean, if I go back to when I did the walking tour of Whittle, I went into 13 pubs, and every one of those 13 pubs had a Cask pump in it. It might not have been the beer that I wanted to drink.
No.
And in two of them, I actually went for the smooth flow option on keg
Ugh.
because I didn't want what the cask offering was, but the cask offerings were there.
Yeah.
And you can't say what you like about spoons. You walk into a spoons and you see a row of hand pumps.
Yes.
And that's the thing that stands out in every spoons. But I think in terms of the Cloudwater announcement, I kind of looked at it, and if I'm honest, I read it and I was like, okay. And then I read on. Because it, again, much like yourself, and even with the benefit of spending as much time in Leeds as I do, I don't see Cloudwater casks that often. In fact, I don't know if I've ever drunk a pint of Cloudwater cask beer.
I have once.
Because I would always prefer to go for their keg offering.
Yeah.
Because I think their beers are designed for that dispense method.
That's how it feels to me.
I think for me, possibly within that piece, the greater announcement was at the same time as we're stopping cask, but we're not increasing our keg production, we're increasing production of small packaged, i.e. cans. So it's about them looking at where the profit is, and I know this is what a lot of people have commented on as well. And full credit to Paul Jones as well for the honesty.
Oh yeah, I mean I've got that.
It's so transparent.
No problem with someone saying about making a profit.
Yeah,
and also it's your own business.
Yeah,
you
can do what you want.
You can do what you like.
Do what you want.
Isn't that what everyone says about having your own business? Yeah, you do what you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, the honesty of the post was really very good. As were some of the other posts from some of the breweries. Hard Knock brought our Look Forward post, and so did Beer Nouveau did one directly related to the whole cask.
Broke down the price. Of how much it costs to produce beer in different methods.
Graphs and everything and numbers.
Would you ever have known? I've got to admit to sitting there thinking I would never have known that it actually costs a different amount to produce a beer in a different package.
No idea at all.
A little bit of ignorance, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
I don't know.
And also profit margins.
Yeah.
And a lot of the chat over the last few days has been about how much tax actually impacts it as well.
Yeah.
Not just everything else. But for me, I think cask isn't going anywhere. Cask is still, I think, for a lot of people, their gateway to finding other beers. It certainly was for me. It was the Cask Camera beer festivals that opened my eyes to there was more than a few fizzy lagers. Even though I'd lived above an off licence, we generally sold fizzy lagers. We just sold slabs of them, because that's what was the market was in the 70s and 80s. So, and I think that there is still a lot of good cask beer out there. I mean, I had Old Peculiar on cask the other night, and that was banging. It was on top form, and then I had a pint of Mandarin from Windsor and Eton, and that was brilliant. It was a 4% cask beer, and I think you still need cask because the lower end of the market, the ABV, I still think sits a lot better with cask a lot of the time.
I completely agree, and I think for me, had the announcement come from someone like, we'll avoid the big regionals for now because I think that's irrelevant, but had that announcement come from someone, say like Thornbridge or Magic Rock, I would have been more surprised.
Yeah, or Hawkshead.
Yeah, because these are breweries that you certainly in Sheffield. I mean, I spent some time in Sheffield over Christmas. Went into a lot of bars that are proud to have the Thornbridge badge on their pub, and you see a range of Thornbridge cask beers, and you see a lot of Thornbridge cask beer around the country as well. And Magic Rock, they announced in the same week that they're increasing their cask offering at their tap room to 5 hand pulls now.
Yeah, because is it 3 they've got?
Yeah, they've got 3 at the moment, but they're increasing to 5.
Yeah.
So I would have been much more surprised if one of those breweries had come out and said, "Oh no, we're done with cask."
Yeah, because I think Hawkshead released their thing and they said, 65% of their output is cask.
Yeah.
Again, it could be just their situation in the market, what their preference is for their dispense method.
Well, I think one of the posts that followed up was Pete Brissenden said that he put it into numbers, and he said basically what we're talking about is 3,000 less casks from a market of 9 million plus.
Yeah.
is something that you're not even going to notice.
No, because like I said, that gap will be filled.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing, probably what disappointed me a bit was either Twitter comments or in some blogs is when people were taking up extreme positions. So they were taking up the position about, either, it should, keg is so much better than cask, or if it's not cask, it's not beer, it's not worth talking about. Or the extreme position some people took for and against camera. It was like none of the extreme positions help.
Yeah.
They don't help at all. The extreme positions.
It was very interesting the amount of people that started slinging mud at camera.
And also, what a few bits which sort of confused me as well is I think Canberra are a consumer association. They're not an industry body. They are there for the consumer, and they are always growing in numbers. And I'm not saying that always means that they're great at what they do. I'm a member of Canberra, and they certainly aren't. And there are certainly a lot of people within Canberra who have extreme entrenched positions, and I don't find them any use either. They're sort of, when I went to one of the revitalisation meetings, they're the ones which I was going, oh my God, will you shut up, please? Because if anyone else walked in who was thinking about having a pint of beer, would just walk back out again.
Yeah.
So I think entrenched extreme positions don't help, because there is a hell of a lot of good cask beer, but there's a hell of a lot of shit cask beer, and same for keg.
Well, and same for bottles and cans as well at the moment. I would say, and without again going too far into the looking forward into 2017, I'm going to reserve that rant for later in the show. For later.
Same for you all to look forward to.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think it was a useful discussion, because I think it did actually show that there's a lot of passion about cask.
Absolutely, and the fact that there were so many people took the time to write their own blog as a response, and
not short blogs.
No, there's a lot of words been written.
I printed a lot of them off, and they're 3, 4, 5 pages, some of them, and some of them have got parts 1, 2, and 3 still to come. So people have got a lot of passion, one way or another, about it. But like I said, I think it's when you get into the extreme entrenched positions, it doesn't really. I don't think that really helps anyone in the discussion.
No, absolutely not. But I'd encourage people to read for themselves, and what I'll do is I'll put a link in the show notes to Pete's blog that lists all the other blogs that you can read about.
Yeah, because they are all very good.
Yeah, and I'm sure most people probably would have read it all before. And
it's handy to have them in one place.
Didn't really need us wading in on the discussion as well, which was why we didn't make it the focus of the show.
No,
because there was no point. So just to round that off, we've just finished our first beer, which is interesting. The Distiller's Cask range.
We've managed to find a beer with the word cask in it.
Yes, in a bottle from Theakston. A clear bottle, a very small packaged clear bottle as well. And I can't help but remove the words Innis and Gunn from my mind.
It is. I think you nailed it when we first started drinking it and smelling it. That is what Innis and Gunn was like the first time I tried it. Yeah. In fact, 6.5% is fairly much in the same range as well, I think.
It is, yeah.
So I
even
totally
the bottle looks slightly similar to Innis. It does look at it. It's got the
are you suggesting Theakston have just copied Innis and Gunn?
I'm not suggesting that for a minute. No. Because that would be libelous.
That would be libelous, and that's not what we're about.
Absolutely.
But no, I actually quite enjoyed it, to be honest.
No, I enjoyed it. Went down very very easy.
That's one of my B&M bargains.
Okay, cool. Nice buy.
Yeah,
if you can pick them up.
That was beside the Citra.
So, are we going to open another beer before
I'll open another beer first.
About the opinions, first opinions of 2017. Opinions. In which we asked, quite simply, what do you think will be the biggest beer trend this year? So we gave people the sonic screwdriver.
The sonic screwdriver worked.
Yay! In which we gave people 4 options this year, and none of these options were influenced by recent discussions either. So option 1 was Murk Bombs going off everywhere. Option 2 was the rise of more traditional styles and a looking back to more traditional styles and brewing traditional beers again. The third option was the decline of cask, and option 4 was other, to which we did have some comments. So we've just got another beer. So what have we got here now?
We've got, courtesy of Michelle, one of my Christmas presents, the Wylam Solar Terminator, which is an unfiltered dry hop pills. Comes in at 5.8%. I thought would be quite a good one to cleanse after the Distiller's Cask. That's got a very nice nose.
It's beautiful. It's citrus. There's a little bit of grapefruit in there as well. Oh.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You've got a drink problem tonight.
I really have. That's the second drink, and it's the second time I've spilled it all over my notes.
It's like watching an episode of Airplane. Oh, that's tasty.
Oh, that's really nice. That's dry.
That is dry, isn't it?
Bit of finish on that as well.
That's lovely.
That is really cool. So, back to the poll. 376 votes. Which was the most we've ever had.
People missed the polls over Christmas then.
People absolutely missed the polls, I think. I did even throw in a bonus poll for people, which was the most important question ever. First drink of the day, is it tea or coffee? To which 55% people voted coffee.
Boo.
And I'm with every one of those 55% of people. So yeah, 376 votes. The one that came out only narrowly on top was a 38% traditional styles and a rise of traditional styles. Murk Bombs at 33%. The decline of Cask, thankfully not influenced by last week's discussions, I would think, at 21%, and then other at 8%. So that was quite an interesting split in terms of what people were saying. Just want to pick up on a few of the comments that people made about beer styles before we start sharing some of our own views on this. So quite a lot of people were suggesting more use of fruit, veg and weird ingredients in beers. So Daisy Tennell, Kat Seal, Justin Mason and Mark Johnson. Mark Johnson in particular saying more beers that aren't beers. For example, the Omnipollo ice creams. Yeah,
was he saying that in a good way or a bad way?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's a fan of the ice cream beers. Maybe he'll let us know when he listens to this
I did
show.
see Kat's comment because he said and herbs, and I almost went back going, oh God, no.
Yeah, there was some, and somebody did comment quite late on as well about the use of turnips in beer.
Is that Baldrick?
God knows. A few people commented on their more sour beers. Some comments around lager re-emerging this year. We've seen, as we're drinking now, we've seen quite a resurgence towards the end of the year of new variations on lagers and pilsners as well that are being done really well.
This is a very good example. This is very
really
drinkable.
Yeah, it's incredibly tasty.
I'm a bit disappointed I'm sharing it, to be honest. That was a bad mistake.
Oh, sorry, mate. It's good stuff though, and I'm really impressed with some of the stuff that Wylam are coming out with.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we mentioned it before, but they'll definitely get more of a look out for me having been out there, and I'm not getting a bad beer from them either. Yeah,
and that's a good sign.
Yeah,
as well. Yeah. So there was some suggestion. There's quite a lot of love for milds.
Yeah.
As well. A lot of people wanting to see the milds, the return of the milds. So at Crafty Beer S, Rich Weir, Ross at All Doom and Gloom also went on to say Bank of England in 2017, although would like to see more breweries master and experiment with bitter and milds.
I would agree with that comment because it's all very well saying milds, but if it's the same old shit between 3 and 4%, which is black, has a little bit of an odour and then dies, then no, I don't want to see any of those.
Yeah, you want something, a bit of a modern take.
Yeah, but if someone can do something a bit more with it, and maybe some of the old mild styles which weren't as low ABV as they are now, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But if it's just the same old 3.5%, they can stick it.
Okay. Well, maybe we need to do a show on milds, maybe in May, to celebrate Camera's mild month.
We'll do mild in May at a Camera Beer Festival.
Brilliant, can't wait. Literally, I'm so excited about that show. And then also people saying more low ABV and session beers.
There was quite a lot of people saying that, weren't there?
Yeah. And this comment in particular saying that breweries will suddenly remember that a session IPA is really just a light pale ale and redo their labels.
I did quite like that one. I saw that.
So that was kind of some of the things, and then the two ones that really stood out within that was Mark at Million Bevs saying Murk Bombs to the point where we're chomping down pints consisting of butter both in colour and texture, and then a lot of people, so Carl at the Bearded One, Chris at Rust Boutique and Phil at the Great Cabio saying traditional styles, let's focus on really good bitters and let's start making good beer again. So that's what the that's what Twitter thinks of in terms of beer styles for 2017. Where do you think we're going to go this year?
I hope we're going to see a bit of a re-emergence of traditional styles, such as, good bitters, things like that. I'd be quite happy to see, because, I remember from one of your homebrew shows, the Beer O'Clock show, one of the homebrewers saying that to actually homebrew a classic English bitter, it might sound simple, he said that it's one of the hardest brews to recreate. A classic
and to
English
get it
bitter.
right.
Yeah. And I think that's probably where we suffer sometimes. That it's created quite a lot by a lot of regional brewers, but they just get it wrong, or they do it badly, or it's just not great. If some people can do that, then I'd quite happy to see some traditional styles, including the milds. If people can brew these well and interesting, and I don't mean just throwing hops at them, because then there's that traditional style, but doing something a little bit different with them, making them great again. I'd have no problem with that at all. That's a hope. I think there probably will be more Murk Bombs. I think that's going to still remain a trend. Now, I haven't got a problem.
I have.
Yep. With Murk Bombs per se. I would still say that I don't think they look as attractive in the glass. Now, that could just be because I've been programmed for the last however many years when I've seen beer advertised that it drops clear and bright. I don't really know enough of the science behind it to know what makes it murky. I know that some people have said in the past when they've brewed something, they actually don't know what's caused it to be murky. Some of the pictures I've seen, I feel like they must have been making it murky for it to be that thick looking, soup-like. For me, it would still come down to how it tastes. Do I enjoy it? So I haven't got a major problem with it, and I think we will still see more than this year, because it was really the last 3 or 4 months of last year they really.
It was very much the tail end.
Yeah. Pictures on Instagram and stuff. It was like there's a murky picture quite regularly. I haven't drank enough of them, to be honest, to fall out of love with them.
I haven't. I just literally don't like what they look like.
So it's purely appearance for you.
It's that's how shallow I am. As a person,
it's all about the aesthetics.
It's all about what something looks like. Absolutely, yeah. It's just not attractive to me. It's really, really not. To the point where I happily let and it's a shame, because it's not a fair reflection of the beer, and I know that, and I know I should try the beer and also have an opinion on what it tastes like, but. To the point where I let the Cloudwater version 10 pass me by. I didn't go out of my way to buy it. In fact, I was in Little Leeds Beer House and it was in the fridge, and I didn't buy it because I wasn't interested in it, because I didn't like what it looked like. No,
I did have it, and it was for me. It was one of the better ones of the recent releases.
Yeah,
because they're all good. Let's not pretend they're all good in different ways.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah. I'm so over them already, to the point where yesterday I went out and I bought 2 bottles of Adnams Broadside just to remind myself what good beer looks and tastes like, and I thoroughly enjoyed those 2 bottles because they were just exactly what I wanted in a beer.
Oh, you could say that, there's no light penetrating them, no different to the murky.
There isn't, but they're not murky. They're it's just a dark beer.
I think maybe you need to do a bit of a blind tasting.
I think I probably do. I'm going to admit that. I'm just put off. For me, I've said it before. You drink with all of your senses, and while the focus should be on what you're tasting and maybe a little bit on what you're smelling.
But is it because of what we've been, all through our childhood and our young adulthood and everything we see on TV? You never see a cloudy drink when it's relating to beer. It's either lager or bitter, but it's clear. So is it because of our programming?
I don't know. It may be. I mean, I retweeted a picture recently of I think it was from someone at Roosters that had tweeted a picture of a beer that literally looked like a glass of cold tea.
I saw that one. That was one of their new ones, wasn't it?
I don't think it was their beer. I think it was somebody else's beer that they were tweeting. It might have been their beer. I don't know. He didn't put more information about it than that. But it just doesn't look attractive to me. I want my beer to look like beer.
Yeah, but then that's a bit like saying you want your beer to taste like beer.
But I do.
Yeah, but
Which is why I don't like saisons.
yeah, but my dad would say that he doesn't want his beer to taste like my beer.
That's interesting. That's maybe one for another day, which is more of a generational thing, in terms of what do certain generations expect. And it might go back a little bit to the previous discussion about camera as well, in terms of what they expect their beer to look and taste like.
But then you've got a wide range of beer tastes, but a more narrow range of how you want them to look.
Me personally,
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. I hope it's a fad that passes quickly. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, I reckon you need to do a blind tasting one day. I think you need to have a flight with maybe 5 beers in there, and a couple of them might be cloudy, hazy, murky, what phrase you want to use, and see what you think.
I'll put myself out there now. I won't be able to tell the difference. I won't be able to tell the difference. I just think
A bit like they do on The Voice, because they can't judge on aesthetics.
Yeah.
About what the next pop star might look like. They're judging it purely on how they sound like.
Yeah, and I'm up for doing that as well. I am absolutely up for doing that. Maybe we should actually do a podcast at some point that is a blind tasting. Although we'd need
someone else here.
We need someone to bring us the beers. We simply need someone to pour
Yeah.
the beers and bring them to us in a way that we can't see what's actually in them.
And somebody can then tell us afterwards what it should taste like after we've spouted rubbish.
Maybe, absolutely. Okay, so that's beer styles.
What's your hopes though? What's your hopes for 2017? So we know what you don't want to see.
Okay, I actually would like to see some traditional styles done really well. Like you say, you know, when you get a really good bitter, when you get a really good pale ale, you know it. Because you get a certain feel about it. And some of those beers, ironically, are beers that lend themselves to cask.
Yes.
And I much prefer having those beers served to me in the northern half of the country as well, because there's a certain feel about a beer being poured through a sparkler.
Oh, I can hear a few southerners throwing their phone at the wall now.
I don't know. It just gives it a smoother feel, and you know, if I go back to what I was saying when I said what my beer of the year was last year, being Magic Rock's Common Grounds.
Yeah.
The thing that swung that for me was having had it on cask, because it tasted incredible. So I think we're going to see. I'd like to see a return to can't even get my words out here. To traditional styles. That's what I want to see. But I also think we're going to see, and maybe it's a hope, maybe it's we are going to see. I think we're going to see more coffee beers, but in light beers. So I think we're going to see coffee used more in
like your pale ales and stuff.
IPAs. I think we're going to see some people beginning to experiment that way.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, one from that I've had recently from Eskimo Joe from Fierce Beer.
Okay.
Which was like a coffee pale ale, which was absolutely incredible. It was exactly what you wanted. It had the lightness of a pale ale, but it just had this beautiful roasted coffee finish to it as well. So I think we might see some of that, and I think in the summer we're going to see a lot of fruit in stuff as well.
I think we'll see the fruit. I think we'll see the lower ABV as well. But also I think we'll start to see the realisation of some of the newer breweries' barrel aging programs. I think they'll start to come to fruition.
Coming through, won't they?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think you'll start to see more of these being realised in the maybe
towards
the big
the
bottles.
end of the year.
Yeah, I think a few of them, which we know have been barrel aging for a couple of years now, will start releasing.
Yeah,
I think they'll start coming out.
That's something to look forward to.
Oh yeah, I always look forward to a bit of barrel aging. Tell me there's been a bit of wood involved.
Yeah. Plus, we've got the new iteration of Brewdog's Born to Die as well, which is going to be a higher ABV.
9.5 now.
First keg's out there now, isn't it? The prototype version wasn't put into bottles, just put into kegs in their bars. Feedback that I've been seeing on Twitter is very, very positive.
Okay.
For it.
But I thought the last release of it was excellent.
Yeah. So if they're just going to continue to push the boundaries on that.
I think and I think we'll also stay with high fruit, low bitterness on things like the double IPAs.
Okay. Do you think we're gonna continue along the double IPA route, or do you think we've plateaued now and we're going to start seeing that dropping off again?
I think it'd be hard because obviously Cloudwater are going to do a release every month.
They are.
And I still think you'll get a lot of the other brewers wanting to prove themselves as well. I don't see dippers dropping off that much. I think that everyone wants to still prove they can do a good dipper.
It still amazes me that last year was supposed to be this year that we should all be panicking because there were no hops, but yet everybody was brewing a double IPA,
which presumably has a lot of hops.
Yeah,
and also the stuff which has dry hopping because that gets just added at the end.
It's
so
just like, what happened.
Speaking of which, well, I'm just about to finish this. You've finished I've finished hop pills.
The dry hop pills. I really, really enjoyed that. It had this lovely dry, kind of almost lemony citrus finish to it, which just worked really well on the palate.
Really drinkable.
Yeah.
And if you'd had something maybe even slightly greasy or resinous beforehand, that would cut through it.
That would work perfectly.
Yeah.
With it. Yeah. Another success from Wylam there.
Definitely another tick for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of the other comments that people fed back before we go into maybe some wider looking forward things for 2017. Some comments around packaging. So Cy at Leeds Beer Wolf said we're going to see 440 cans. I don't know whether that's just in reference to that's the size that Cloudwater have decided to package at, or whether we're going to see other breweries starting to use that size can. Drink, drank, drunk at Drink, Drank blog.
She just made that so it's really difficult to say.
That's really difficult to say just after like 2 beers. The decline of bottles and the rise of cans. Cloudwater and Tiny Rebel have already confirmed they're moving that way, which we know. I think we've been seeing things beginning to move in that direction. I don't think it's going to be the decline of bottles per se.
I think there's still. I mean, Thornbridge are dead set against cans. If I remember
Thornbridge
correctly.
aren't canning.
They're big on.
I don't think we won't see Buxton can.
Yeah, so I think that cans are going to continue to rise.
Yeah.
You know, if someone like Cloudwater and Tiny Rebel have said that's what they're doing, then they won't be the only ones.
Yeah, I think sadly we're going to see Magic Rock's Unhuman Cannibal in a can this year, which
won't have quite the same theatre.
It will be a sad day because there's something about that bomber.
Yeah.
Of Unhuman Cannibal. That you get.
What do you think about the larger cans then? I mean, obviously we've had some tall boys come out quite a lot.
The 500
last year and the start of this year, as almost like the small batch releases. So Magic Rock had Hypnotist. They did the double IPA. Four Pure did their juice box.
Yeah.
And then if you're talking about maybe 440 cans being the regular, we commented before that the 330 cans are quite a good shape, easy to carry. Does your train beer? Do you need the extra 90 millilitres? Because presumably you have to pay. You'd be paying for your 440 rather than your 330 as well.
Well, yeah, of course you will. Yeah.
Whereas everything from Cloudwater previously was 330 bottles, or their big bottles, weren't it?
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
There was no in between.
Yeah, so now you're going to have to pay more to get your Cloudwater bits. So your price point's going to be.
Price point's obviously going to increase.
Yeah.
Which goes right back to the top of the show where I was talking about, Cloudwater being quite open that they need to make a profit.
Yeah.
There's no point in being in business if you're not going to make a profit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Passion will only get you so far.
Yeah. I'm just not sure about not forcing us, but limiting our options. Because 330s, everyone seemed to like 330 bottles. We were spoken about last year on the Beer O'Clock show about bottle sizes between 330s and 500s. Yeah. And I remember 330s getting a lot of love.
330's got a lot of love. People love 330 can beers because they're train beers.
Yeah.
You can get 6 of those in a little cooler as well quite easily. You're going to struggle a bit
440s won't fit in my little cool bag.
500 mils don't fit in mine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's interesting because I think Northern Monk have also indicated that they're going to be putting some of their beers into 500 mil as well. So I think Heathen will be going into 500 mil this year as well. So I think we are going to see more breweries experimenting with big cans as well, and also one of the mobile canners, the WeCan Solutions, put out a piece in just before Christmas as well, saying they've now got a machine that can do 440s and 500 mils. So all of those breweries that were previously putting their stuff into the portable canning lines have now got the option to scale up into bigger cans as well.
Because 440 used to be a very popular can size, didn't it?
It did.
That was the can size.
That was your Foster's tinnies.
Yeah.
That's your when you buy a slab of tinnies from the
supermarket,
it's 440. Yeah, you don't generally get 500ml cans.
Yeah.
So and the Magic Rock ones are big. They look big and they feel big as well. So I think we will see a lot more bigger cans this year. I hope not to the detriment of the 330s, because I like the 330s.
Yeah, I'd be disappointed if the 330s do get quite left behind, or the types of beers that end up in the 330s aren't the sort of ones I actually really enjoy anyway.
Yeah.
That'd be my fear about it. And also, I don't really want my price point to go up, if I'm being honest.
No, I don't want to be paying any more for beer. I really don't. I already pay enough for beer.
Yeah.
It's part of my monthly budget now in terms of how much I'm buying. So I think people, we need to consider what it is that's being made available and how we want it, and are we prepared to pay the price point for it as well.
Yeah, although ultimately I do agree. I think there will be more full 40s, and I think there will be more cans.
So
with those comments, I do agree.
Yeah, I think we'll see much more of that. So I suppose what are your hopes and fears for beer? What are some of the things you're looking forward to doing this year?
Well, I suppose one of my fears has already sort of come to realisation, which is when beer festivals fall away, because it was announced recently that the Birmingham Beer Bash won't be taking place. So they've done 4 years of it. I managed to get to last year's, but 2017 there will not be a Birmingham Beer Bash, which is a real disappointment. And I assume it's time and money, resources, etc. All the usual reasons. They haven't really gone into detail, but I imagine that's where a lot of it's come from. So that would be a fear, is that the beer festivals I enjoy, whether they be CAMRA, craft or completely independent, would fall away, or that they sort of change their MO. The MO sort of changes. Okay. That would be my thing. But what I'm looking forward to going to Dublin in February for the Alltech. Mm-hmm. Yourself, me, meeting up with the beer snobs, and getting to see a bit more about what the whole Irish scene has got to offer and what they think of it all. But I think that'd be really interesting. Actually, I'm really looking forward to that. And there's other beer festivals, which I got a few on the wish list. Leeds Beer Festival would be on the wish list. I think that's sort of back end of the summer, isn't it? I think that's September time.
First weekend in September.
Yeah, so that would be a wish if I can work it into the diary and money wise. I still enjoy going to my CAMRA beer festivals, especially the summer ones where you can be outside, and it's the social element of it that I look forward to.
I'm going to enjoy inviting myself along to more of those this year.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, you enjoyed coming to the Harwich Town.
I did. I loved it. It's a great day out.
Sometimes they can be surprising for more reasons than just the beer anyway.
Although I tried to stay on the cask longer this year. Before.
More than 3?
Yeah.
I think it was raining and you'd already hit the cake. But
that's
true.
It
rained quite early.
It did. Yeah, I think, like say 3 beers, and I was like, give me fizzy.
Yeah, give me fizzy and
cold.
Give me
something that's got something fizzy in it.
But also, I'm probably going to try and avoid saying yes to every big release. The old fear of missing out. In no shape or form can I try every beer, and I probably need to stop trying at times.
I am completely with you on that. That's probably one of my New Year's resolutions. Actually, is to try and get over the FOMO of not missing out on.
I'm not saying I'll always be successful.
Yeah,
because there'll be some other people who said, or someone says, "Oh, I'm getting 12 of them. Do you want one?" And I'll go, "Well, yeah, I haven't had to do any work for that. I'll give you a 5 or whatever it is."
Yeah. Trying to remember that it's just beer.
Yeah, and there are some beers that I actually just generally enjoy, and if it's not a new beer, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
I try a lot of new beers anyway through various means. I don't need to probably go out and buy every new beer.
No, I mean, I think I've taken, I took a step in that direction when I actually walked away from buying the Cloudwater version 10, because I was like, no, I need to accept that in 2017 they've got one of these coming out every month. I can't have one every month, and I think particularly with that release, if I'm in a bar and it's on the bar, I might buy a half of it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna worry about falling over myself to get a bottle of it. That being said, come April, I imagine I'll be the first one in the queue trying to get my hands on Human Cannibal.
I imagine so.
When it hits the shelves.
But you've been in on that since the start.
Exactly, and it's simply one that I don't want to miss because I've tried every other version of it, and I'd like to keep that trend going as long as possible. But I'm completely with you on that. That I trying to get back to it's just beer.
Yeah.
And I think towards the end of last year, I was beginning to get to a point where I maybe stopped enjoying it a little bit because I was overthinking things. And I just want to get back to just enjoying good beer.
Yeah, well, I sort of did that at the start of the Essex Bottle Show last week. We were in our usual, the very good ale house in Chelmsford. 12 cask beers. Some new keg lines have been put in as well, and there's some good choices on that. I went for 2 pints of Oakham Citra.
Yeah, sometimes you've got to go with what you know.
Because I know it, I love it, and it was just perfect for the start of it. 4.2% as well, so sessionable.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it sometimes I don't need to try every new beer that I see.
Yeah,
I think for me that'd be my one. Few specific beer festivals, and just I want to enjoy more beer out.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want to enjoy more beer in a social setting.
Yeah.
with others rather than sitting at home. And drinking it on my own.
I still think that is the best place to have beer. Don't get me wrong. If I've had a long day, or when I've got my son and he's gone to bed, I've got an hour to myself, I think, okay, I'll crack open a couple, watch what I watch. It's quite nice. But drinking good beer in a pub with good people that you enjoy being around, and it's in a pub you enjoy being in, is one of the best experiences.
Can't beat it.
No.
Yeah, absolutely can't beat it. I'm with you on that, and I mean, in terms of what I'm looking forward to this year, definitely looking forward to All Tech next month. That's going to be good fun, and hopefully we're going to get a little bit of recording done while we're there.
Early in the day.
Yep, and maybe there's a collaboration podcast in the making there with the Snobs as well.
Have we asked them yet?
We've chatted to them about it, despite what Janice was saying on their last podcast that they hadn't been asked. Wayne actually had been asked and was aware of the fact that there was a collaboration.
We need husband and wife to talk to each other more.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got that coming up. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I really enjoyed All Tech last year, so I'm looking forward to going back again this year. I've got a visit to Buxton in the bag.
You're a number one fan, isn't it?
Yeah, Miles and I are going to. We're doing a Thornbridge and Buxton double header.
Nice. Well, what time are you playing?
April.
Okay.
So early on in April.
Nice.
So very excited.
Hopefully, you get some nice weather as well.
About that, yeah. I think the basic plan is Thornbridge on the Friday afternoon, and then the entire day in the Buxton Tap House. We'll see how that one works out, though. I'm really looking forward to the Manchester Beer Week this year as well. I'm already kind of got some accommodation booked to go and spend some time up there doing some of the events that will no doubt be planned for that week. Very excited about the fact that I can also, I think for the first time in a number of years, my holiday doesn't coincide with London Beer Week or London Beer City. So I can do some of that as well. So
that's quite good, because I don't think you've managed to make that at all properly, have you?
No.
Apart from maybe the LCBF at the back end of it.
Yeah. So it's one that always kind of falls wrong for me, but hopefully getting on that this year, and just to continue to just be really open-minded and try new stuff, and look forward to trying new stuff.
Yeah.
As well, it's but not worry about having, like yourself, not worry about having to get to every new release. Yeah, that's what it's about.
I think it's just about
put the fun back in beer,
finding a bit of balance, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which we're all, us as podcasters and a lot of people who listen to it, we're probably all very guilty of it ourselves.
Absolutely,
I'm talking
you get caught inside the bubble sometimes, don't you? And I think certainly last year I found myself further in that bubble than ever before.
Yeah.
And it's started to become a little bit uncomfortable in there, and I think I just want to take a step back and just start to enjoy beer again.
I mean, I still want to be able to drink good beer. I don't want to be necessarily in a place which has just got Doom, IPA, and Stella and Kronenberg.
Yeah.
I still want to have good beer, but it doesn't necessarily need to be new beer for me.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you on that. In terms of what we've got coming up on the show, so already mentioned that we're doing the collab with the Beer Snobs, hopefully, back in at the back end of February. We've got a couple of other collaborations coming up as well. So the first of those that will make it to the airwaves, people might have already picked up on this, is we are getting together with the guys from Beernomicon. And we're going to do a collab podcast with those guys as well. Also hoping to do one. Was supposed to be with Stephen Rowland from Stephen Rowland's Beer Podcast, but Steve heard we were coming and decided to make himself out of the country. And yeah, just trying to take the podcast in maybe some slightly different directions. So rather than us just always talking about the beer or the latest release or what's going on in the news.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good thing anyway. I mean, I'm looking forward to catching up with the Beernomicon guys who you met last year. I'm also looking forward to catching up with Roland, who I met at the Birmingham Beer Bash last year. I'm hoping he can make me a coffee that I love as well. You've spilled beer again.
I haven't. I have.
What's the matter with you?
I don't know what's going on tonight. I cannot get the beer from vessel to vessel. There's literally on my side of the table there is quite literally beer everywhere, and that doesn't bode well considering what it is that we're currently pouring into a glass, and what we're going to finish this week's podcast on. So we have got Brewdog's Hopshot, which is the quadruple India Pale Ale, coming in at 22%. In these dinky little 110ml
Let's
bottles.
face it, I'm going to use the word. It's actually quite a cute bottle.
It is quite a cute little bottle, isn't it? Let's be honest. Brewdog have done well there. So we are going to give this a go.
We are going to give this a go.
When it was released, it was one of those that I thought, this has got to be, despite what I've just said, I need this.
and you sent me a message and I said, I need it.
Yeah, it's a 22% quadruple IPA. I need it in my face. So we thought we'd do it on the show so that everybody can enjoy us doing a 22% IPA. So cheers.
Cheers. God, it's thick mouthfeel.
It's really thick.
It's sharp. It's dry.
On the nose, it's all sort of. There's dankness in there. There's some resinous qualities to it. The nose is like a ramped up version of Born to Die.
It is. And it's a similar sort of alcohol burn at the back of the throat.
Yeah. But
it don't taste like 22%.
It doesn't taste like 22%. I mean, it's incredibly thick.
It is thick. It's got a thick mouthfeel. It looks thick. I mean, I'll put it in a couple of whiskey glasses, and it looks perfect in the glass.
Yeah.
But it does look and feel, and the mouthfeel is thick as well.
I'd also just like to point out that it's crystal clear.
It's crystal clear, and there's actually some quite nice carbonation on it.
Quite nice, and as much as you move it around in the glass, the carbonation just keeps coming as well.
Yeah, I mean, a few more sips and you start to. I mean, it's very dry as well.
You certainly get the stickiness.
Yeah, I mean, 22% is what your port liqueur. It's like your liqueur, like your Archer's.
It's
strength,
dry,
isn't it?
Yeah. There's a burn on the end of it. There is.
I think the burn builds as well.
Yeah, the more you chug down your neck. I mean, in terms of because we were chatting earlier that I've had the Cinque Bismarck, which is probably the double version of this, which is essentially like drinking pure spirit. There's hardly any beer left in that. This just does feel like a big beer.
Oh yeah, no, you're having a big beer, but if you were having this as an end of evening, I mean, like I said, it's in a whiskey glass at the moment. It looks very nice sitting in my whiskey glass. You could easily, if you were inclined to have a dessert wine or a port or something like that at the end of the evening, this would, I think matches up pretty well.
This would finish the evening. Perfect. You know what? Even better would be like a coffee version of this.
A coffee version.
Yeah. Well,
the little bottles are quite heavy. Actually,
that infused with coffee would be incredible. But no, the bottles are incredibly.
It's got the raised writing on the label as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Branding wise and bottle wise, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the first person to criticise Brewdog for some of their activities, but this is just. I mean, it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm actually really enjoying it.
I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really impressed because I'm again no brewer, but to get a 22% IPA for it, whatever word you want to prefix it with, and still make it drinkable.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn amazing.
I mean, you're not going to guzzle it.
No, but it's still drinkable.
Yeah, you're certainly going to sip it, aren't you?
It's not like with some drinks you might say, oh, it's a bit diesel or something like that.
Yeah.
It definitely isn't diesel.
I just to I suppose just to finish off the looking forward into 2017.
More 22% beers.
Do you think we're going to see more of this? Do you think we're going to see more high ABV beers?
I mean, I guess it's all about trends and what is successful and what people say. I mean, I get brewers want to do two things, don't they? They want to make money and they want to experiment. They want to prove themselves against against each other, against the marketplace. I mean, this is proof, if ever you did need it, that although, like you say, Brewdog can annoy us at times, they do make bloody good beer.
Yeah.
I had a couple of pints of Punk the other night and it was perfect when I had it. Wasn't in a Brewdog bar. Saw it outshone everything else on the bar. I'd have two of those, worked perfectly. This beer is brilliant.
It is. It's just incredible.
Yeah, and I'd be quite happy if other people wanted to try it. And putting it in just a 110 milliliter bottle, perfect for that.
You don't need anything more than that, do you?
No, definitely not a tall boy.
No, you don't want 500 mils of that. That's for sure. Okay, well, I think that just about wraps up the first opinions discussion of 2017, which gives you an opportunity to. After I took back the reins for the 12 Beers of Christmas.
Which is just as well, because even if I had been supposed to be doing it, I just didn't get involved, did I?
No, you didn't. And again, I just want to thank everybody for getting involved in posting pictures for the 12 Beers of Christmas.
Some of the pictures were amazing.
There was just some stunning pictures.
And Rach has to get a shout out.
Absolutely. Hand-drawn pictures of the beers that she was drinking. Absolutely incredible stuff.
There's a definite skill there that Rach has, and she should do something with that.
Yeah, if you want to check that out, check out at Look At Brew on Twitter or Instagram and just have a look at the pictures that she did for the 12 Beers Christmas, or just search 12 Beers of Xmas and you'll find all the pictures that everybody posted. But anyway, mate, this is back to you now. I'm handing back the reins of the Prizeless Prize, and who are you going to give the great big box of nothing of 2017 to?
Well, because we've obviously taken up quite a lot of people's time, I won't give you the runners and riders, but I might post that tomorrow. But the winner, and he's not the first time he's won it, is a friend of the show, Shaun at the Birds in Hand Housestead, for a picture of, well, quite frankly, a disgusting beer, the Guinness XX Original, which is just gross. But he's actually put it into 5 little miniatures on a silver background, so they reflect as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I'll post that picture later or tomorrow morning, but he's managed to make like 5 miniature pints of Guinness. He's made that beer look a lot nicer than it tastes, and that's another credit as well. So Shaun, if we ever see you again at the Essex Bottle Share, friend, you'll get your big box of nothing, the first one of 2017.
Congratulations, Shaun, and if you want to have a go at entering the Prizeless Prize, put your picture on Instagram. Only on Instagram. The only time of the year that we take it off of Instagram is for the 12 Beers of Christmas. Pictures on Instagram, use the hashtag cheers guys, and the one that Martin loves the most will get the shout on next week's show. So we're coming to the end now. I think we're going to take a while to finish our hop shots, because as we said, they're not a quick beer to drink at 22%. If you want to get involved in this week's discussion or anything that we've said tonight, tweet us, use the hashtag Hopinions. You can still get involved in what we're doing every week. There'll be a poll along every Sunday night that you can get involved in as well. We're also in Manchester next week to do the collaboration, crossover, whatever sort of thing you want to call it, podcast with Beernomicon, which we're really excited about. It's going to be a 2-parter as well, so we'll be putting out the first part.
All the best crossovers.
Absolutely, yeah. We can't have it all, so we're going to put the first part out on our feed, and the guys from Beernomicon will put the second part out on their feed. So you'll get 2 lots of amazing shows.
Does that make us the Flash? and then the arrow.
Well, it probably does, yeah, because
In the order that they're shown on
in
TV.
the order they're shown, yeah, we get the first.
Flash always comes first.
We get the first bite of it, yeah. So yes,
So we're the Barry Allens.
We are the Barry Allens.
They're the Oliver Queens.
Yes, absolutely. So we're the fun element. They'll be the more serious side of things. We'll hopefully get a few bits from the. We're also going to the Manchester Beer and Cider Festival as well. So hopefully we'll get a few bits from there. So we've got quite a lot coming up in the next few weeks. It's a really exciting time, and we're glad to have you guys along for the ride with us. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Martin, here's to 2017, mate.
Yeah, here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.